Hey, Jim. Jim. Jim.
Oh, hey, man.
Hey, what's going on?
Post record store day. Sorry about that. I'm still catching up.
Hangover, huh?
Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast. My name's Jim, and I own a record store, for better or worse, today.
And Jim's not quite sure where he's at, so we'll get into that. But I'm Steve, and I am a record collector.
A relocated record collector.
Yes, a relocated record collector.
And, you joked about being hungover, and quite frankly, at 58 years old, that's what this feels like. I had a couple of, I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, but these old bones really aren't made for 13-hour days anymore, especially two in a row.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank Miss Taylor Swift for that one, but we'll get to that here in a second. So, this is the Vinyl Community Podcast, and we're going to be kind of hodgepodge today because, quite frankly, and I'm not kidding, I'm a little out of it today. We had a big day here at the record store yesterday with Record Store Day 2024. It is always just so much fun, but man, oh man, is it a drain. I've got some pictures we'll show here in a little bit talking about that, Steve. It was a good day here at the store, and kind of sorry you had to miss it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not sorry about having to stand outside, and I hear it was cold there. So
it was very cold. We got down into the upper 30s, but the kicker was there was a wind just barreling right down George Street, and we had a group of kids that went out. They're high schoolers, got out there at 1 p.m. in the afternoon and sat for 15 hours before I got here at 5 a.m. to pass out numbers. Wow.
That's just hardcore, and obviously they're doing a lot of it's just for the fun of it. Just
and they
did, man.
And they did that. I mean, back when I was in high school, I don't know if you did, but I stood in line for concert tickets, and there was not much else back then. We had to for concert tickets.
That's very true.
Ticketmaster. Yeah. So we'll get to the post record store day wrap. Steve's going to be about a week behind with his stuff.
Yep.
I'm going to cover a couple of RSD things, or one rather, in my pickups for the week. But then I don't want to complain, but we do need to talk about Taylor Swift and what happened on Friday. It was just crazy. I'm talking crazy here at the store. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. So, but being that this is the vinyl community, and Steve, you're starting to get back up to speed. Now that you're relocated to Colorado, you're not moved into the house yet, but at least you're out there. Patty's out there. Cat's out there. That's what's important. But you did manage to get a few pickups this week, correct?
Yeah, I did. I came in the mail. So, we arrived in Denver yesterday on Saturday. I was disappointed that Record Store Day was not put off.
Why didn't they move it for you?
I'm still flummoxed by this, and I've been trying to find a way to use the word flummoxed, and I feel much better. At that they kept it going, but I guess the show must go on, as they say. I did, yeah. I had come in. This is just released. It's the brand new album by Blushing, and I believe Blushing is it's called Sugarcoat. It is it's a group of two couples, and it's basically more shoegaze, a little bit dream poppy, and it's a wonderful group. If you check YouTube, you can see some of the footage of Blushings from their concerts. I think it's an outstanding band. They're coming to Denver this summer, so I hope to be able to see them. I mean, I don't go to a lot of concerts, but I really, really like this group, and so I pre-ordered it and came in. So I have that.
Well, speaking of the concert thing, you are now in closer to proximity to Red Rocks.
I am. Yeah, last year I saw Ellison Cross and Robert Plant. I came out, and or was that 2 years ago? I don't know. And I've been looking to see who's going to be there. King Gizzard has like a 4-day stand again. I mean, you did last year too.
I want to see you tenting it in the parking lot for King Gizzard.
Someone asked you, but yeah, probably not. This is a new album by Ride. Again, it's a shoegaze band. Most famous, their very first album came out, I think, around 90, 89, 90. That's a shoegaze classic. A lot of times I don't go back as these older groups and buy their new stuff. Once in a while I do. Everyone's been talking about that this is very, very good. An excellent sounding album. I don't know because it just came in, but I went with it. I just went with what different people in the vinyl community were saying and saying, this is awesome. So it's Ride Interplay, double black vinyl. So yeah, we'll find out. I do like Ride. I like the early Ride. So I'm just hoping that this will be just as good.
You have been on a real shoegaze kick of late also.
Yeah, I have. I've really, the music, it's talking to me, Jim. It just talks. And, those shoes, just, hey, got to buy this. So, yeah, I've been going back and exploring some of the stuff. And, I've known about a lot of these bands, but right now it's just really appealing, and I hope it stays that way, or I'm going to have a lot of albums in 3 years. I go, oh man, what do I have that
for? You're going to be album gazing instead of your shoeing.
Yes.
That's what I do here, looking down at them going, wow.
And the final one, this came from Vinyl Me Please. It's Boogie Down Productions, and it is By All Means Necessary. It's one of the very early ones, and I'm a fan of Boogie Down Productions and Chris One, especially his early stuff. He was more about educating, talking about the issues that are going on, but not in a violent sort of way. And Record Store Day has one of these out, and I hope to find that because it's I believe it's called Education or Educate or whatever.
Yep. That was kind of a cool one. We did end up with a few of those this year.
Yeah, I used to have a few of his CDs. So Vinyl Me Please had this. For the most part, I kind of dropped out of most of my subscriptions on Vinyl Me Please. They're just not putting out anything that appeals to me anymore. And, the classics are like, oh, it's hard. Really? $40, $50 for that hard album that I could buy at your store for $5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we have it. Yep.
Yeah. But it's color vinyl.
Ooh, yeah.
I get a sticker. So, I guess, this is a great deal. But this I was happy to get. So, someone had asked me once on one of my broadcasts, goes, I didn't know you were into rap. And I go, yes. I mentioned I like the late 80s, early 90s rap. By mid 90s, I fell out. I mean, Eminem, I enjoyed some of his stuff, but I just wasn't listening to much of it. But the late 80s and early 90s, there was a lot of great stuff. So that's my 3, and today we'll see if I can find some Record Store Days.
I was going to say you were kind of travel blocked from hitting. You didn't want to say, what, we've been on the road for 30 hours. Can we just stop and see if there's a record store in Podunk, Iowa?
I was checking. We were going through Nebraska. I was pulling up on my nearby record stores, and most places in Nebraska, there's nothing that shows up.
Oh, so well, you could have sent your mother out. You could have sent your mother out to look for you.
Yes. So yeah, it didn't work out.
No.
But we did stop at the world's largest railroad yard. So it was.
That's cool.
So what about you, Jim? What are your pickups this week?
Well, it's been a quiet one because of RSD. I was so busy. I don't want to say too quiet because there was some stuff that came in earlier in the week. I think before you left, you saw some of these.
Yeah, I did. Wow.
Holy cow. So it's just a matter of me deciding if I'm keeping anything or not. There was a couple of things on the RSD list that I really did want to keep, but because I'm a good record store owner, in some cases before I'm a record collector, other cases, I'm not so successful at that. But with the RSD stuff, I decided to, play by the rules. And there was a few things that I ended up wanting that I couldn't get that we had in the store, but we had such limited copies that I wanted our customers to have them first. One was this Rocky Horror Picture Show demos from Richard O'Brien. I've got all the other Rocky Horror stuff. Used to really kind of dig that in the late 80s. But the good news is I've got a couple more of those coming. They had some residual stock. So I've got one of those coming. And then we only had one of the Dead Milkmen, Bucky Fellini, the Record Store Day release of that. Somebody saw that later in the day and snagged it. And I went, dang it. But I have an OG, so I'm not going to be complaining too much. But one of the things I did keep from yesterday, and this is because I had 2 copies of this one from Bebop Deluxe. This is Futurama. Made it all the way through Saturday and all the way to the end of the day at closing. And at that point, I said, okay, I still have 2 copies. One of these can go in the personal collection because I think we talked before that, I've been trying to get into the Bebop Deluxe stuff a little bit more lately, and I'm digging it. And this is probably, I think, one of the only Bebop Deluxe albums that I do not have. And as such, I'm not very familiar with it. So I just kind of lit that open a little bit. Futurama. So I didn't even see what we've got going on inside, but hey, it's really kind of a really nice blue vinyl in there. And the hype sticker is very cool. It says an exclusive blue album. So this was an RSD exclusive classic album remixed by Stephen W. Taylor, cut at Abbey Road Studios. So I'm looking forward to this. I probably won't have a chance to give this a spin until, Monday or Tuesday when I'm at home. I'll take that there and see what we got going on. But I was kind of happy that at least one thing made it through. Secondly, this was a release on Friday, and I did get my, of course, we get the product ahead of time here at the store, and we can't sell it until the day of release. But I kept mine aside because we talked about this, just how many different
wait. Let me guess. Taylor Swift.
No, that was a Friday release. We'll get to in a second. But yeah, we talked about this when they announced it. And it's like, how many more of these versions of Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon can you have? And the answer is apparently just at least one more with this one.
Until next year. Next year.
I came so close Wednesday, late afternoon. I was so close to saying, you know what? I'm going to throw the video camera on. I'm going to start recording. I'm going to do an unboxing, if you will, of this one and put it out there on our YouTube channel. But I just couldn't get to it. I just could not get to it. Then I looked on Thursday, and some of the other big vinyl, the record store channels rather, were doing their unboxings. They're getting 19, 20,000 views on it. So what I'm going to do, I have not opened this yet. Later, toward the end of our podcast episode today, how about we open this up and take a look here? It'll be new to me. How's that? And
yes. That sounds good.
And you did order a copy of this too. So we'll see if you still want one.
Yes, I did, because we decided that you only need one of every album except Dark Side of the Moon, and then it's 10 or 20.
That's about right. But this is a very cool one. So stick around, folks. Toward the end of the podcast episode today, we'll crack this sucker open. I'm sure you've seen it on all those big channels.
I haven't watched those. So
okay, well, good.
This will be a first.
It'll be new for us.
Yes.
All I've seen really is the product pictures ahead of time. Lastly, I say lastly, and I chuckle at this one. A couple of weeks back, I had a conundrum. Remember, there was a first pressing of Nirvana, not Nirvana, but Nirvana, the late 1960s psych pop band Nirvana, came through the store, and it clicked my buttons because it was a promo label, a promotional press.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, a few weeks back, I said, I think I'm keeping this. I've decided not to keep it.
Okay.
So so this is going out on the shelf, and it's decent. I mean, it's a triple digit record, but not terrible. But I decided to put this out on the shelf because, unlike Dark Side of the Moon, I think I really can only handle one first pressing Nirvana in my collection. So what I have here, it's not technically a promo copy, but it is a radio station copy. This is an actual first pressing Nirvana from, 1991. And it's of Nevermind, of course. And we're luckily obscured there with the station call letters being strategically placed. This came in with a batch of records that had I not been wearing a hat, I would have had to put one on to hold on to my hat because there was some heat. There was some heat that came in just before Record Store Day, and it happens every year, it seems. But so some very, very cool stuff. This, again, first pressing, these are no slouch whatsoever on Discogs, but some of them can get upwards close to, like, if not into the quadruple digits, into the $1,200 range. This copy, of course, nowhere near that because of the writing on this. And I hemmed and hawed, thinking, do I keep this one? Because I don't have, I've got a reissue of Nevermind that we have as a store play copy. But I decided to, simply because it has got the writing from the radio station on there. This takes me back to my time. I was officially in college radio from 1985 through 1990, and then 90 through 97 after I graduated, I hung out at the radio station and still did shows while I was working my TV job. So I still did that. And I always regret not buying. I don't know why I didn't. I really don't know why I didn't. I saw these in the record stores in the early 90s and I never picked one up. And man, do I wish I had.
Yeah.
Because now you'd have this. So I'm going to keep this one. It's got obviously a sticker on there and it's got some writing on there. But because I'm an old radio guy, this kind of fits in with my collection. I've got a few other things from my station that still have writing on them that they were getting rid of in the 90s that I kept. And I thought, why not? The station, by the way, is a Central Florida station, I believe.
Okay.
So I was going to shoot them a message at some point when things slow down, saying, hey, I got your album. You can't have it back.
Isn't it worth more because it has original artwork on it?
Yes. Well, no, I don't think so because they've repressed it. Oh, I get it. Never mind. You're picking on a record store day post hangover here, Steve.
Yeah.
So that's a cool pickup. And yes, it is a little bit written on, but I think that's cool. So because of that, I'm going to get rid of the other Nirvana. We'll put that out on the shelf. I listened to it a few times and it's cool, but it's not something I'm going to go to very often. I think somebody will probably get a lot more enjoyment out of that other one than I would. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's some of the heat behind me. Here, let me do this. There's some of the heat behind me that came in, including a Nirvana Bleach and, the Misfits with Pink and a couple of Third Man, you saw this. Now, for folks, Steve stopped into the store on, was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday before you left, which was nice. You come in to say goodbye, but you just I think you felt a disturbance in the force is what it was. Literally about 20 minutes after this batch of just high-end stuff came in, Steve came in, well, I just want to say goodbye. Oh, what do you have here?
I was going to redo the contract on our house to see if I could throw on a few more $1,000 on the purchase price so I could come in and buy the heat.
It's just we decided to back out because we need just a couple figures more.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have bought that, and Patty would probably went, "No, you don't."
Yeah.
So we'll put that out here at the store. I mean, we did have it all out on Record Store. There was Metallica, there was the Misfits stuff, there was some. We've talked about this before, a couple of years back with that punk collection that came in. Little old Jim in the middle of mid-Michigan nowhere with a teeny tiny record store somehow lands some of these goodies. And I'm not complaining about that in any way, shape, or form, except when it's right before record store day. And I'm like, dang it. I got to get these.
Except for those industrial albums that are still sticking around.
Yeah, they're there. You don't want the Fadus one still? I'll throw that in one of the shipments coming your way. You want to listen to some guy banging on pipes for 10 minutes.
There's some rough stuff in there, folks. I mean, but some people love that. It's like even myself is going, I don't think I
could do that. So let's talk a little bit about Record Store Day proper. I don't know if folks find this interesting. We do a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff. You and I talking about what goes into this here. But we had a stellar one here. I looked at our numbers because we've got a new point of sale system that I put in just before 2023's Record Store Day, which allows us to track. For some reason, my Casio cash register from the 1980s couldn't do that. The ones we used for 6 years ahead of time. But this new one does. And I think that we are pretty much on track, if not just a little bit below the number of sales, maybe like 20 or 30 records below the number of Record Store Day titles we moved from 2023. And that seems a little odd to me because I thought we had so much more this year than we did. We had over 300 releases. Now, again, folks, we are a small store in Midland, Michigan. And I know that there are places that get thousands and thousands of RSD titles. We don't. We're a smaller population area, but I think we do a pretty good job, and we do get a pretty loyal following of folks coming in. So I was happy about that. Did you see any of the pictures we put up on our social media?
It was quite, I saw some pictures of some other places, and I go, man, I think the lines were bigger at your store than some of these other spots that I saw.
Some of them were stretched all over the place on through there. Here's some pictures of us back in. Let me get down in here a little bit. There's our poster. Record Store Day proper shared our poster on their Facebook and Instagram.
Wow.
Very cool about that.
Yeah.
Here was the line. Here was the line at 5 a.m. Now I get here at 5 a.m. to pass out numbers and give the folks a chance to go warm up. So, I mean, that wraps around our building. which again, for 5 a.m., these guys here on the left, that's the trio that got in line at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So just absolutely incredible that they decided to do that. Then, yeah, I think I've got, I didn't put up any other pictures of folks inside. But yeah, there they are at 1 p.m. getting in the line. Just absolutely incredible that these guys decided to do that, but more power to them. And they seemed to have fun, and they did get what they wanted. One of the ones, the young gentleman that was first in line was looking for this release from someone named Chapel Roan. It was a 7-inch, and we had one of those. And that was the most sought after one that was out there. I don't know how many were pressed. I didn't go back to look, but I don't think it was very much, because we got calls and I saw posts all over social media with people looking for this Chapel Roan release. And we got calls well into the afternoon. Do you still have it? And I'm like, nope, we had one copy. The guy that put in his work from 1 p.m. for 15 plus hours, he was the one that took it. The first one through the door, grabbed the one copy of that. The other big ones that we had was the Olivia Rodrigo and Noah Kahn 7-inch, where Olivia Rodrigo covered one of the songs from Noah Kahn. And then the B-side was Noah Kahn covering a Olivia Rodrigo song. Yeah. That one was very, very popular. We ended up, I think, with 23 copies of that, which again, for us, usually when we're getting 1 or 2 copies of something, was fairly phenomenal. And those lasted, roughly, I think maybe about an hour and a half in the line, because everybody was one. Yep. And then the other big one was a Noah Kahn album on his own. I forget the name of the album, but this was a full album of his stuff. That was a color vinyl variant that was put out. We had probably about 8 or 9 of those, and they went fairly quickly too, all within about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Good news is for some reason that one still is available from our distributors. So I've got some more copies coming, because we had people asking if they could get that after the fact still too. So that I think was the big stuff going through there. And the numbers, if you want to think now, being a small record store, and I'm going to get to this when we talk about the Taylor Swift stuff here in a second or two. It's like, well, Jim, you could always just hire somebody to help you. And I'm like, yes, I could, but any of the other times outside of record store day, then, be dealing with an employee or employees and having to work with this. And if that's the case, I mean, we're kind of razor thin, as you know, here. I've been doing so good on my own, but we've grown a little bit to this. But I couldn't sell dollar bin records or $3 or $4 records if we had those extra expenses. And we've got a great crew of friends, Abby and her husband, Nick, and Chuck, our friend. And of course, my wife, Kim, they all kind of throw on board to help out with record store. Had you not moved when you retired, we were going to tap you to be a greeter.
Darn right. I would have done that. Yes.
I know. We're going to put you outside with them, say, come on in, everybody. Let's get numbers 1 through 10. But we make do. We've got a good crop of friends that help out when we do get to those times of need like that. The rest of the time it's me, but we put through, let's see, when the doors opened at 8, again, I get here at 5 a.m. and I pass out numbers. At 5, I passed out 36, 37 numbers to people. By 8 o'clock, I think we had about 50 to 60 people waiting to get in. And the numbers that we passed out, because we're also doing a drawing today for stuff, the numbers we passed out, I think, went up to 70, 72 or 3 and through there. So after the fact, Kim did a little calculation, and our little old store pumped through 70 plus customers in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So we're talking just over a minute a customer, getting them in, getting their stuff, and moving them out. I mean, that's fairly efficient.
Yeah. Did everyone find something at least they wanted, or did some leave kind of, God darn it was all gone?
Pretty much. There was a few things like that Chapel Roan, but that was explained well ahead of time. There was some other stuff that we had maybe 3 copies of, 2-3 copies of that they wanted, but they didn't get. But no one seemed overly. It's not like last year's with the Taylor Swift when we ran out after 40 copies and there were tears shed. There was nobody that was too bummed about it. They understood, because they understand how record store day works, and everybody was cool about it. But there were a few, not many, but for the most part, I mean, we had a friend of ours come up from down by Flint in the Fenton area. He came up and got everything. He got in line late and was worried, and still got everything that he wanted to get. We had guys come down from Sault Ste. Marie, way up north in the Upper Peninsula, they got what they wanted, and I was very happy about that too. So it was very cool that we had them in. But I think overall, folks were happy with what they got, and we're starting the day Sunday, the day after, with maybe about 20 releases left out of the big batch that we had, and they'll go eventually.
So no riots in line, no, bringing out clubs. Nope. I want your ticket or anything.
Nope. The police did drive by, I heard, because they're wondering what's going on outside, but everything was cool. They know what goes on here.
Don't in our small town. Every year, I believe they drive by and just go, what the hell?
Well, I think they know what's going on here, because we are your friendly neighborhood record store, and we are in a neighborhood. So when you get a group of 30 to 40 people camping out on a sidewalk and sub 40-degree temperatures, it tends to draw a little of attention. Like, what are you guys doing?
It's a political protest against vinyl.
There we go. Against that. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up and talk a little bit about was what happened the day before. Now, in 2023, I mentioned that Taylor Swift had that record store day release the year, but I don't even remember what it was, to tell you the truth right now. That drove a lot of people. So by comparison, at 8 a.m., we had about maybe 70 people in line. We were 75 plus, and then steady after the fact last year because of the Taylor Swift release. Yeah. But, and here's the thing, and I think we talked about this before, it was announced that Taylor Swift was going to release her brand new album, Tortured Poets Department, the day before Record Store Day on Friday. And at first I was like, okay, why not do a record? But there's got to be reasons for that. We talked about this a couple of episodes back. Ours is not to question Taylor. It's her world. We just have to exist in it in this case. But here's the kicker. I had ordered, I think we had like 7 or 8 copies on pre-order, and then I ordered an extra 10 of this vinyl variant. And unlike Taylor Swift leading into this release, there was no word of any other variants. And she is the queen of multiple color and cover variants. Yep. So in addition to that whole, whatever you want to call it, where Target and her website had pre-orders up for a week before we did, we still did okay moving all those white vinyl. There's none left today after Friday and Saturday, none of those. But, and here, I don't think I'm treading on any secrecy at this point after the fact, but probably about a week before that Friday release, maybe Thursday before, we got word from our distributors that there was going to be a surprise release of 3 more color variants of the Taylor Swift. So, and here's the kicker of this. They sent out warnings in all caps, and I mean all cap email warnings, that we as record store owners were not allowed to talk about them. We were not allowed to say that there were variants coming. We were not allowed to say anything under threat of, if you do this, you're not going to be allowed to sell her stuff anymore. I mean, that's how serious it gets. So I knew just about a week and a day or so before that these other color variants were coming up, and I couldn't say a word. And I had people calling and asking, are there going to be variants? I'm like, I don't know.
I think she's a part of the Illuminati,
working to control us.
The Illuminati.
Yep.
You can't do top secret. You will.
So I kind of had to fret. In addition to the bill that I face ahead of time to pay for all the record store day stuff that's coming up, I had the conundrum of saying, okay, how many of these things do I order? Mm-hmm. So I think I ordered 4 copies of each of the variants, because I still had some of the white one that was coming. Oh, and that's the other thing too. The white vinyl version, they wouldn't ship until like the day before, meaning that they had to have the white vinyl variant show up in the stores on Thursday, because they were afraid people were going to start selling them early.
There's probably some chucklehead last time that did that.
I guarantee you there was. There absolutely had to be. So they put them out next day air shipping. And so that means our distributors probably took a little bit of a hit on the shipping. So the white vinyl variant showed up at like 3:00 on Thursday. So I had to turn those around, get them ready for the Friday drop on there. But we were given specific instructions that we couldn't talk about, we couldn't show pictures of, we couldn't do anything with the 3 extra variants. And here's the other part of this too. Midday on like Tuesday, they said, chances are that the vinyl variants aren't going to be ready to ship out until, Thursday. So that means that you probably won't get them till Monday, or Tuesday unless you want to pay for overnight freight.
Of course.
Because the label and the distributor couldn't pay for the overnight freight. So looking at that, I was like, okay, do I want these variants badly enough to pay that extra $30, $40 that comes out of our markup to have them on the shelves for Friday and then hopefully into Saturday for record store day? And I hemmed and hawed a little bit about it. I said, well, we're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays as it is. So it doesn't do me any good to get these things on Wednesday once all the buzz has bypassed. So I knuckled up and I said, ship them. And then as of Friday morning, the shipping still said Monday. And I was like, oh God, what did I do? And then miraculously it changed. And once the shipping said Friday, I waited, and about 2 o'clock or so, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, FedEx shows up with these and they come wheeling in. I'm like, you are the hero, dear sir. Thank you. Or no, it was our UPS guy. I'm sorry. They brought it in. And the instant that they came in, we opened them up, we took some pictures, and we said, hey, surprise, here's 3 new variants. And here's the damnedest thing of all, Steve. Within an hour and a half, all 16 copies of that variant were gone.
Kind of wish you had a few more, huh?
I do now at this point. I've got people asking. I've got more coming next week.
Yeah.
But it was hard to gauge because these things were so expensive. They come in at like $48 retail price on this. But they went. I mean, as soon as we put that post out there, the Swifties, they shared, they moved, they jumped, they called, they came in, they got them. And here's the other thing too that was, I think, the kicker. A lot of the Swifties that I'm gonna get one of these. A lot of the Swifties that bought these, I have one left because they sent us a couple of extra. They the variant versions had a handwritten, as copy obviously, but a handwritten letter from Taylor saying happy record store day, even though this wasn't a record store day release. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for welcoming the Tortured Poets department into your collection, into your vinyl collection. Wow. So the Swifties had to get the variant version to get one of these. Yeah. So.
Well, Jim, first off, I salute the men in brown who delivered your records on time. God bless you, UPS. And second off, on her next release, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to just predict this. Taylor Swift's going to get a hold of the Swiftie Army. She's going to say, I want at least one person at each record store to monitor this. And you're going to have to be there a couple of days to make sure they don't say anything. Yep. And they're going to be there and they're going to watch and they're going to text Taylor. And if something happens, you will be shut down like immediately.
I joked with one of our distributors that when the next album comes around, we're going to have to sign NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements. That's the next step on this. So here's the thing with that. The Friday thing was cool. I'm happy that we were able to move everything out as quickly as we did. But that also meant that come Saturday, I had people coming in on record store day looking for it. And all I had left was maybe 3 or 4 copies of the traditional white vinyl version that was announced well ahead of time. So there were a lot of people still looking for it. But, and here's the kicker. I mentioned this in our live stream that we did with the Record Store Day preview, that as cool as it was to be able to get these vinyl variants and turn them around as quickly as we get them on Friday, and then within an hour and a half, they're gone. The 16 copies we had, as cool as it was, that took a major chunk, at least 2 to 3 hours out of my time on Friday, where I should have been getting ready for record store day stuff. And again, I know Kim actually took the day off on Friday to come in and help because we knew it was going to be a big day, release day with the Taylor Swift and the Pink Floyd, as well as the vintage vinyl drop that we put out on Friday. You saw that video.
Yeah.
So she took the day off to help, and again, that comes down to it. That's one of the perils of, being an owner operator of a record store. Do I want to move these things out? Well, then something's got to give. And what gave was me coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday to start getting the record store day prep done that I knew I wouldn't be able to get to on Friday during the day to make sure we were ready for record store day, getting the record store day stuff priced and getting a lot of the posters and social stuff around. So on the live stream, our friend Chance from Concert Buddy, the podcast, which you should check out, Concert Buddy on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you find great podcasts. He asked a question during the live stream: would I rather have had Taylor Swift's album be a record store day release versus coming out on the Friday before. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think when it came down to it, it really didn't matter. If it had been on Record Store Day, we would have had a little bit more time to prepare for it and to get it ready and out there. But what we learned from 2023 is that there were so many Swifties coming on Record Store Day that almost kind of interfered with the rest of Record Store Day. I guess I would have to say that in retrospect, I'm happy that it came out the day before and not on Record Store Day, just because Record Store Day is about all the artists and all the independent stores, and it's not about Taylor Swift in there. And I just create the sacrilege? I said it's not about Taylor in this case. Well, she's going to come down on us, but yeah, that's kind of my take. If it was going to happen, I'm happy that it happened on Friday before, and I'll eat up the extra time that I needed to and just stay up a little late and then be completely exhausted and ramble like I'm doing on Sundays.
So the people that weren't able to get the album, did you offer them a Pearl Jam?
I did. We only had 3 copies of the Black Vinyl Pearl Jam. There was zero interest in the Black Vinyl Pearl Jam because of the colored variant coming out on Record Store Day. I'm scratching my head on that one, and we had enough Pearl Jam, the colored vinyl, but we had some people actually pick up the Black Vinyl version in the regular stock, and they come up and we said, did you mean to get the colored? Oh yeah, I did. Sorry. They put the Black Vinyl back and go about their business. So now I've got 3 of those, and I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to order the color variants if they're available still until the Black Vinyl are gone. But yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah.
One more thing on Taylor Swift and the Tortured Poet Society. Hang on here. I want to call this up as well, if I could, Steve, and we'll stop. It's like we're fixated on her or something. I don't mean to be.
I will say I did hear good review. I mean, I read some good reviews about this album. I've never bought or listened to a Taylor Swift. I actually feel bad about it. I should. But,
yeah, and you think as a record store owner, I probably should too. But yeah, I have not. Yeah. But over on Discogs, our good friends over at Discogs, Abby sent me a text this morning pointing out a couple of things. Let me go down to the Ghosted White pressing in the U.S. Can you see this here?
Yeah.
$114, top end $219 on that for the Taylor Swift variant, that particular variant. That's incredible because the Ghosted White is out there still, and we're getting more of that next week. Maybe I should mark them up in the store. What do you think?
Yeah, no kidding. Why is?
So that just shows that, I think people, I don't know, maybe they're not hitting their record stores and they're just trusting what the flippers are doing. Okay, here's one of the variants that came. I've not looked at this yet. That's not bad. I mean, there's none for sale. Wow, there are none for sale, but the ones that sold were in the $40 range.
But only 46 watt.
Yeah, but I think that's because I think they did such a good job in, hiding the fact that this was coming out.
Sure.
Nobody knew about it. The clear, let's see, the white, Ghosted White. Here is the clear. Here's the beige. This is one of the other ones that we got, the beige. Let's take a look at this. No items available, none sold. So obviously, again, I guess that worked in the fact that getting them to the stores as late as they got them and having them just show up out of the clear blue and surprise the heck out of everybody. Here's one for sale of this gray smoke vinyl for $90. I think that took everybody by surprise on that. And, again, more power to her. She is a marketing genius, for crying out loud.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Or her people are. Maybe it's her. I don't know.
Someone's shrewd there and knows how. And you could bring out a variant for $48 and it sells out. It's like that.
Sells out that quickly like that. So I survived. We survived another record store day. I was a little shaky come 6 o'clock last night. I went home and I had a cup of soup. Usually we get a celebratory a beer and such out with the folks that worked with our crew, but I just went home and crashed. I'm like, because again, it was not just the 13, 14-hour day on record store day. It was the one before, getting ready for record store day, knowing that Taylor Swift was incoming.
Sure.
How's that? Okay. Do you have anything else? Do we want to talk any more about Taylor, or are we going to let it go until the next one comes
We'll
up?
let her go till next week and whatever else pops up.
There's going to be, well, actually, I would say Kim pointed out, I've not seen this yet, but I guess there's going to be yet another variant that collects all of the, excuse me, the extra. Each of the variants, I should mention, had a different cover, had a different color vinyl, and each of them had a different bonus track. So she made them different enough to really drive the fact, well, crap, if I want that song, I've got to get this one. So again, she knows what to ask for in the Swifties.
I'm surprised, and maybe she'll do this if she's listening. Here's a thought. Next time, what you need to do is take different pictures of yourself and the variants. You put all of them together, and you have a poster of Taylor Swift.
You can have that with the clock. She did that with the clock last year.
Bigger. So now you could sell like maybe 15 of these variants. Wow. Put them on your wall. Picture of Taylor Swift, and you have all of them. I think that's
I don't know for certain because I haven't seen this, but I did hear Kim said she saw it somewhere that she's putting out another release, like the definitive, that is going to collect all of those extra song variants onto probably a 3-album set, which will then go for $70, $80 or so. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. I'm just a lost little record store guy this morning. I don't know.
I'm just saying I'm not a completist of her stuff.
Oh man, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Speaking of being a completist, Steve, shall we segue? Here we are, kind of making light of Taylor Swift completists, and we're talking about Dark Side of the Moon. This thing was no slouch. I mean, the list price on this, we had it, I think, in the store for $52. It's not a cheap album for something that, 50-year-old record that everybody owns. But, and I think we did talk about this on previous episodes. They had to find a way to make this different enough to reel us in. Again, that's what Taylor Swift does. Maybe she learned from Pink Floyd, from David and Roger, and learning to do all this. But this is the Dark Side of the Moon. This was the 2023 remix of the album. But this time they pressed it on collector's edition UV printed art on clear vinyl. And we had that discussion about it's not a picture disc, but it is. But it's not a picture disc. They're two playable albums, but only one side of each is playable because in order to not diminish the audio quality, they printed with a UV printing on the reverse side of the album and left the playable side as it is, just with clear vinyl. So theoretically, it's got a better sound. I've not heard any complaints, but we'll see where this goes down the line. I've not looked at this yet. I thought we'd open it. You want to go for it here?
Let's do it. I'll let you do the honors.
All of the unboxings that we did and saw. I'm going to try to save my hype sticker just because. So we'll see where this goes, and we'll see if this package is going to be worth it. I should also mention too, we sold out of these in the store over the weekend. Okay. And I had probably, I think, an extra 10. Wow. I think I had 10 overall. And I went back to go see if there were more orderable. My one distributor said that they were on back order. But here's the telling part. The other distributor said that the item has been discontinued. Wow. So I don't remember seeing what the run was on the pressing of this. But for them to just outright say, 2 days, actually 1 day after release, that the item has been discontinued I think is very telling. Mm-hmm. So, well, we'll come back to your reactions here in just a second, Steve. So let's zoom in on this. Now, this is a non-gatefold, so we have to go in from the top and pull stuff out. So the cover, check the cover out. Okay. The cover is that's just the slip cover over the front, so nothing special there. The album is a gatefold inside, so it's got that gatefoldness inside, which the original was a gatefold. Okay, look what they did. They have recreated the gatefold inner on this. So that's very cool as well. All right, here comes Steve. You ready for it? The potatoes?
I am.
Let's do the poster first.
Thank God. Poster.
The poster. There is a poster because that's what makes it worthwhile.
Yep. Oh, a new poster.
A new poster. I don't want to rip it. It is folded so well. So there is the poster, The Dark Side of the Moon. Man, I hope we can get more of these if these are indeed discontinued. Now, is there another poster?
I was a little underwhelmed on that poster, but
I'll admit I was too.
Yeah.
So let's look in here. Let me pull these out. Okay, the poster is it. That's all there is in there. Here is the moment of truth. Record 1, side A, The Dark Side of the Moon.
Isn't that neat?
So it is clear. I can go like this.
Yeah.
And that is kind of where we're looking here. Now that's the artwork. So, okay, I get what they're saying now. On the playable side, you can see the tracks. The non-playable side, you can actually feel the printing.
Okay.
It's got some rays. I hope nobody tries playing that side. So, but that's actually kind of a very cool label, and you can feel the printing on there. Let's look at album 2.
So what's going to happen now is they are going to reissue all the Beatles albums again with this. Rolling Stones definitely want to jump in on this, and Jethro Tull will do it.
Yep, let's get in on that, and then we work to the Dead Milkmen.
Yes.
So a little bit of a different artwork on the other disc, but same concept. Printing on the reverse side with no tracks, but just the printing. Cool labels. And then side 2 of the album on that. So I don't know, is that worth that extra money just to get another copy?
You sold out of them.
We did. Well, on the Notion too, I think people were thinking that it was going to be limited. I'll do some research. Maybe if I can find some info online for next week as far as how limited of a pressing this ended up being. That would be kind of cool to see. But regardless, it's open. So now I have another Dark Side of the Moon in my collection, Steve.
I'll have one coming my way. And
you will.
Taylor Swift. Here we go.
Yes, let's start thinking this UV printing process on her stuff and see how
I'm telling you, you know what? These folks that we've reissued, Fleetwood Mac has to do one. Man. I mean, Rumors, they're going to put that whole picture on the back side.
Well, there was a Record Store Day release of Fleetwood Mac Rumors on a picture disc this year.
But
we had 7 or 8 of those, and they went. That was a very popular one also.
With this, you can get 2 albums out of it.
You could, and charge more.
Yes.
We're thinking, we're cooking with steam.
And you already have the licensing. It's all done. So that's just profit.
Wow. So there you go. I will report to you next week. I'll give this a good listen when I've got a better frame of mind. How's that? Because if I were to try to play Pink Floyd today, I would actually seriously quite go to sleep, and I'd forget to open the store at noon.
So, well, they've opened up a can of worms. So
I think they have this UV printing process could change, because the big complaint with picture discs has always been they sound like crap. In fact, some of the picture discs from the 80s, you remember those that would come out? They'd put a little note on the picture disc saying the audio quality of this picture disc is subpar. It's meant for display, not playing. I mean, they put that right on there. It sounds like crap.
Yeah.
just look at it. Don't try to play it. And I think that's what Floyd looked at this, because with Floyd stuff, I think the audiophile quality is of absolute importance. Yeah. You cannot have a dull sounding record. It has to pop. It has to be rich and deep. You have to have good crisp highs and booming lows, especially with their stuff. So to make a picture disc of this, and I've seen picture discs of that before, and they all have that little warning, don't play this.
Mm-hmm. So, sure.
So there we go, Steve. I'll report next week how it sounds when I'm in a better shape. So, well, you folks have been listening to 2 guys talking about records, a Vinyl Community podcast. We're still up in the air for next week because Steve is in transit. Do you think you might be in a record room, bare bones, next week, or is it?
I have no idea. I still may be in my kid's basement. I'm hoping we get our stuff. They had to, after they loaded the truck, they go, there's not enough room for everything.
Oh no.
So they had to bring in a second one on Saturday. There wasn't much left, but like our mattresses and that, and they loaded up. And so what they do is they load this truck up. Then the trucks go to a different depot where they unload the trucks to load them into another truck that takes them here. So these records that are stacked way high, which is just making me nauseous.
Yeah.
Unload them, load them up again. Then we unload them at our place. It's like, oh my God, really?
You're talking probably close to 100 pounds of ox.
Yeah, well, the guys that were there's only two guys. There's two men in a truck, but it
There
wasn't
you
the
go.
firm. It just was some other firm.
It was literally two guys in a truck.
But the guy goes, more records. These are so heavy. As they're
Oh,
on
no.
these two-wheelers bouncing down the steps. Oh,
So we'll
he goes, these are so heavy. And then there's a step there. They're going through my garage, and there's one step to get out. They busted the step
oh no.
because the records.
Wow.
Oh God. Oh God.
Have you had the record room in your new place load tested yet?
Ah, it better hold. That's all I can say. It looks bigger than what I have. The funny thing is, by my one record room, there's a crack up on the ceiling.
You didn't see until
On
after
the
you moved?
wall. I
Oh
go,
no.
I wonder if that was there before, or
Oh
that's a
no.
newer crack.
Too late, we signed, but I
Yeah.
can't get that extra couple thousand for the big name stuff.
So we'll find out. We'll find out. I
Well,
hope we get it this week. I don't know how long it's going to take to set up.
we will wait with bated breath to see what happens, and wish
Yep.
you the best that it goes off without a hitch. But you kept your important stuff. I saw that, so
That's
we're good
right.
there.
Yep.
At least you can always
We're in
on
my
the
car.
comments again. But and I'm glad you made it out there safe and sound, and things are moving forward.
Yep.
And we will just kind of check with you next week. Until next week on Two Guys Talking About Records, my name's Jim. I'm going to go take a nap because I'm a record store owner on the day after Record Store Day.
And I'm Steve, a record collector who's going to go look at my new place and get the keys and show it to the wife.
There you go. Good luck with that, sir. You're also hitting some record stores today.
Record store day. Yeah, I heard. Yep, today's record store day for me.
Yes, for you it's today.
Yes.
And hopefully they still got some stuff for you.
Exactly.
If not, we'll see what we got left over. Maybe we can hook you up, man. Well,
Perfect.
I know a guy. We'll hook you up.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Till next week, you folks, thanks a lot for watching and or listening. Don't forget, we will put up the Spotify playlist of the stuff we talked about throughout the podcast. Check us out on Facebook with the Two Guys Talking About Records. You can interact that way, and listen for us on all. I heard somebody say that they found us on Amazon too on the podcast,
Okay.
which is cool. So,
Good.
all right, you folks have a great week. Steve, you have a good week. Good luck, sir.
You too, Jim. Bye. Get some rest.
Thanks.